What's up, everybody? My name's Stephan. Welcome back to another discussion from Games Are Hard. This week, I am joined by my lovely guest, Hunter Davies. Hunter, welcome.
Hey.
Thank you so much for being here. We would like to talk about God and video games this week because, Hunter, you recently watched a playthrough of a game very near and dear to my heart. What game was that?
Night in the Woods.
Game of the year 2017, Night in the Woods. And you had some issues with the way the game portrayed God and Christianity, right?
Yeah.
I would like to preface everything we're about to discuss with slight spoilers for Night in the Woods. Slight spoilers.
So one of the biggest problems I've had was with May and her conversation with Pastor Karen. Some of the things that Pastor Karen said about sometimes when she's talking to people and trying to help them cope with certain situations, she herself does not believe in God at certain times. That she literally just stops believing altogether. And as a Christian myself, I found that was very inaccurate, because with Christianity even, you don't just stop believing all of a sudden. It's just that you have doubt, and sometimes it could be like, even throughout the game, she's waiting on God to answer her about Bruce's situation of being integrated into the community, and she's just praying that God will allow him to come and be a part of the community on top of all these people that run the community. Is that correct?
There's like a town council that doesn't like homeless Bruce being in town.
And that she's just praying on that. But then when she's talking with May, she says that sometimes she just literally just stops believing in God altogether when things just seem to not be working out. And I find that is, as a Christian myself, you don't just stop believing. It's a point of just like doubt of, why is this happening? God, is there something going on that I need to do, or somebody else needs to do, or is it just not the right time? It's just a lot of even just like doubting and not knowing what's going on in a certain situation. You don't just stop believing altogether. I just find that conversation, by saying that she just stops believing, it just made it seem like even big religious people don't know what they're talking about. And as a pastor herself, if she does feel that way, and she is a pastor, I'm pretty concerned. But also just in a portrayal of like religion as a whole, Christianity coming from my side, but just saying that you literally just stop believing if things aren't working out, and still being someone's crutch, even when you're not believing. It should be in a state of doubt, or in a state of just like praying and trying to seek answers. It shouldn't just be stopping. I love this game a lot. I love its art style. I love its premise. I love the messages that it sends about just characters and what it's like to grow up, and even still as like 18, just growing up and integrating into society a bit and not being as much of a child, which May goes through. It's hard to see that they make religion, with it being prevalent, like May's mom being religious as well, and saying that...
I don't think they ever explicitly said she was religious, did they? She like works at the church.
Yeah, she works at the church and wants her to come to church.
So I guess, yeah, she's probably a Christian.
Yeah, but I know their religion's also different with like the whole fire-breathing rope, but it just seemed odd to me that the pastor would literally say that sometimes she just stops believing. And with that conversation, it led to May just saying, you just stop believing? How is that possible? That kind of just draws me away from even believing God even more, if you just say you just stop believing if things don't go your way. And as a religious person myself, I found that just not a good portrayal of religion, and kind of like a little bit of a step aside to bring out the message of, well, not necessarily message, but just kind of bring out a bad viewpoint on religion.
I think it was not necessarily a bad viewpoint. Like, saying that she didn't always believe gave her like some kind of realism, because not that she didn't believe, but that like no one's ever 100% all the time, and that's like part of like the part of being human. You're never 100% sure, and it's like have faith and all that. But she talks to May like quite earnestly, because she sees May also struggles with that, and I feel like that really helped connect May with Pastor K, even though I don't think May's ever going to go to church again. I don't think she's wants anything to do with that, and I think Pastor K knew that, right? But Pastor K like went into that conversation like she was dealing with May, and she talked to May like she knew May wanted to be talked to, whereas like, as she said, if she was talking to somebody else, she's not just going to tell them I don't really know if God exists at this point in my life, but I'm a pastor, and so I have to get up every Sunday and talk and make people feel good things about God.
I don't know. That's still...
See, your issue with Night in the Woods' portrayal of Christianity is that it's not a very positive, or you feel real, portrayal of Christianity. Is that right? Is that fair to say, in a sense?
Yeah.
And that has a lot to do, I think, with, I would say, the designers going into that game carry with them, like, ideas or past experiences with Christianity. And if you're someone, I'm not saying this is the case, who's had a bad experience with Christianity or grew up in a Christian home and wanted out like May, and personally like myself, you would definitely put those feelings into your game and your dialogue. And maybe it's Pastor K is the conversation one of the designers wish they would have had with their pastor. It was like, you aren't just, I only see you every Sunday and you're all happy and on your high horse, and I wish there was flaws with you, you know? And this is another point I want to bring out, is the designers bringing in those ideas of Christianity has a huge, huge influence in That Dragon Cancer, which is another game that follows the story of this man's son as he gets diagnosed with cancer, and the parents struggle with, what does this mean? How could this happen? He's like a little baby and he has cancer and stuff. And Christianity in that game, because they are deeply religious and devout Christians, is totally like keeping them afloat and helping them get through this. And that's just a different way to portray Christianity in a video game based on those designers' experiences. So I think Night in the Woods and That Dragon Cancer both portray God in different ways based on different experiences of Christianity.
But even just going off that, though, still with my main point being of just the pastor saying that she just stops believing altogether, really threw me off. Because as the pastor, like, I even know, like, my pastor currently at my church has been off a lot. We've just been having other pastors from other churches come and speak. And he got to speak last week, but then we're having another pastor from another church coming next week. And sometimes it's not just... Pastors do go through a lot of hardships in that. And they do have to have a little of a break sometimes of just, like, they need to figure things out themselves. Like, they are human. But that doesn't mean they just stop believing in God altogether.
So why can't a pastor, like Pastor K, who's gone to seminary, is now a pastor, paid full-time, have just moments in their life where they're not sure God exists? Because she's in a very bad place in her life. Like in Night in the Woods, she's struggling with trying to get this, like, old town council full of, like, sticklers to help this homeless man, and they're just not cooperating at all. And she's struggling with that, and she wants to help, but circumstances aren't letting her, and she's finding it hard to believe in God at that time in her life. Like, what's wrong with that?
Well, there's what you're saying right there. Hard to believe equals doubt. It doesn't mean stopping. Because even as a pastor, though, she still believes in God, but she's just having doubts like, God, why aren't things going this way? Are you even listening to me? Because that's just doubt, and you're going through a point in time where you're just questioning things. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you just stop. Like, even someone who's gone through a religious time period of their life and just, like, stopped believing, it doesn't necessarily mean that they stop. They're still just having great doubts. Like, it could just be, like, on a scale of, like, yeah, I seriously doubt God exists, and, like, this time in my life I did believe God exists, but now I'm still just not sure anymore. No one just stops believing. There's always, even just in someone, despite what they personally believe, if they're religious, if they're not religious, still God is at work in their life. It's just that they don't see that. And people always are in this constant state of doubt if God is real, if God does not exist.
I mean, I definitely disagree that, like, somebody, like, believing, as a Christian, you believe that God's always working in people's lives. But those people can totally not believe in God.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think with Pastor K in Night in the Woods, she has, for a large portion of her life, believed in the existence of God. And for this part of her life, not sure God exists. But because of having a job and needing to do her job, she facilitates other people who she knows believe in God. And so in that way, she's not lying to them. She's not misleading them. Like, she is teaching the Bible to them, which is something you can do, not regardless of whether you believe in God. But I don't feel like her, at that point in her life, not believing in God is a big issue. Like, you keep focusing on, like, the stop believing. But the stop believing, she can totally start believing in God again, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's just, at this point in her life, she's like, I don't think there's a God because this thing is happening to me. And you're right, like, as a devout Christian, that's not how you do it. You simply talk to God and read your Bible and all that jazz. And she didn't do that. And that's also the game's way of showing that she is only human and not a perfect example of a Christian.
I don't know. It still just seemed a little bit off to me, the whole fact that they put in the word stop. Like,
You're really stuck on the word stop.
Yes,
yeah.
I'm very stuck on the word stop. And even just with her talk with May and just, like, what she's going through right now, she is in a constant state of just, like, I wonder if God is really up there, if he's doing anything about this. And she's in a moment where she is struggling to know what's going on and why isn't this answering. And the game itself kind of shows that there was just a different plan. Bruce just wasn't meant to stay in Possum Springs. He went home, as he said. Or if that actually happens.
We'll never know.
Yeah, we'll never know. But sometimes God just has a different plan. And for her to say that she stopped, though, just believing altogether, it struck a chord with me of, like,
Is it because she's still a pastor? Because, like, I stopped believing in God. But does that mean I can't start believing in God again?
That does not mean you can start, like, you can believe in God again. It's just that there is the constant amount of doubt in people. And I feel like it's just, like, a measure of doubt of, like, I doubt God exists. And it's not just, like, stopping. There's always going to be, with people, just the feeling that there is something out there. Or if they don't believe that there's something out there. Like, my best friend is an atheist and she doesn't believe in the existence of God. But even just with that, people can see God's glory. They just don't recognize it as that.
But they still don't believe in him.
Yeah.
So Pastor K, at that point, can recognize that God's doing something because she's in this room full of people who believe in God, but she herself doesn't believe in God. No? No, I don't buy it? Oh, okay.
Either I'm a terrible argumenter or I am very bad at explaining myself.
Well, that was our thoughts on God and Night in the Woods and That Dragon Cancer a little. All excellent games you should check out. Thank you so much for joining us, Hunter.
Thank you.
Until next time, we are Games Are Hard. Thank you for watching.